Today we're going to solve a second-order partial differential equation using Laplace transforms. And the equation in front of you is quite a special one. It's actually the one-dimensional heat equation. It relates the second derivative of u, which is the temperature function, with respect to x being the length of the rod measured from one end, to the partial derivative of the temperature function with respect to time. Okay, cool. And to solve it, we need some boundary conditions. First up, we understand the rod to be of unit length just for simplicity here. And we'll maintain the ends of the rod at a fixed temperature, which in this case is 1, again for simplicity. So u of 0 at any time t and u of 1 at any time t is 1. And we also have information about the initial temperature profile of the rod. We have u of x at t equal to 0 being modeled by 1 plus sine of pi x. Now our strategy is to use Laplace transforms, which is the coolest way to solve differential equations, in my opinion anyway. So we're going to take the whole thing, Laplace it, and now to introduce some notation. What does it mean to take the Laplace transform of a function like u, which is a function of both x and t? Well, that's the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the negative st times u of x and t dt. So we're integrating over the time variable, leaving x and s as parameters. So the Laplace transform of u would be called uppercase u, and it's a function of both x and s. Okay, cool. Now, what about the derivatives of u with respect to x? Well, consider the partial derivative of u with respect to x. What if we take the Laplace transform? Then again, we have the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the negative st times partial u by partial x dt. And the exponential term is independent of the x variable, so we could write the integrand in this manner, partial derivative with respect to x of e to the negative st u dt. We switch up the order, and we get the partial derivative with respect to x of the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the negative st times u dt. And the integral here is just the Laplace transform of u, so this implies that the Laplace transform of partial u by partial x is in fact equal to the partial derivative of u, uppercase u, with respect to x. And we have, by the same token, a similar relation for the Laplace transform of the second derivative of u with respect to x. That would be partial square uppercase u by partial x squared. Now the Laplace transform for the time derivative, that is partial u by partial t, looks slightly different. Reason being the Laplace transform is itself an integral evaluated with respect to t. So first up, recall that if we have a function y being a function of t, and we call the Laplace transform of y of t as uppercase y of s, then the Laplace transform of dy by dt is in fact s times y of s minus y evaluated at t equal to 0. And because the partial derivative of u with respect to t is just the derivative of u with respect to t while holding the x variable as a constant, the Laplace transform will have exactly the same shape, but with an extra parameter being the x variable. So we have s times uppercase u of x and s minus u of x and t equal to 0. And we know exactly what this thing is, right? This is the initial temperature profile of the rod, which we recall to be 1 plus sine pi x. So this implies that the Laplace transform of partial u by partial t equals s times u minus 1 plus sine pi x. Okay, so we have all the ingredients sorted out, so we can return to our differential equation, which is partial square u by partial x squared equal to partial u by partial t, and we Laplaced everything. So on the left-hand side, we have this thing here, that's partial square u by partial x squared, and on the right, we have this stuff, which is s times u minus 1 plus sine of pi x. Okay, cool. So now for some rearrangement, we have partial square u by partial x squared minus s times u equal to negative 1 plus sine of pi x. And let me introduce some more notation, calling the derivative with respect to x operator as d. So we can rewrite our differential equation as d squared minus s of u equal to negative 1 plus sine of pi x, which is a second-degree non-homogeneous differential equation, which we can solve quite easily using the method of variation of parameters. We first need to solve the characteristic equation, which in this case is d squared minus s equal to 0, which implies that d equals plus or minus root s. And this implies that the characteristic solution, that is u sub c, equals c sub 1 times e to the x times root s, plus c sub 2 times e to the negative x times root s. Now for the particular solution, we assume it to be of the same shape pretty much, only the constants are replaced by functions of x. So I'm calling them v sub 1, and we have these exponential functions being multiplied with it. We'll call this thing here y1, and we'll call this thing here y2. And we have the functions v1 and v2 of x, which we can calculate pretty nicely using these equations. We have v sub 1 of x being equal to negative y2 times the integral of y1 times whatever function you have on the right-hand side of your differential equation, which in this case is negative 1 plus sine pi x divided by the Wronskian dx. And what exactly is the Wronskian in this case? I'll get to that in a moment. First, let me write the equation for v sub 2, which is y1 times the integral of y2. Again, negative sine 1 plus sine of pi x divided by w dx. And for the Wronskian, that's the determinant y1, y2, y1 prime, y2 prime. And in our case, we have y2 being e to the negative x times root s. Okay, so let me just write them out here. y1 is e to the x times root s. Now for the determinant, we have e to the x times root s, e to the negative x times root s, and down here we have root s times e to the x root s, and negative root s times e to the negative x times root s. So multiplying out the terms for the determinant, we have these two canceling out, as do these guys. So we have negative root s minus root s, which is negative 2 times root s. That's the Wronskian, which in this case is very conveniently independent of the x variable, so we can take it outside the integration operator. We have a negative sign here, 2 times root s, and same thing over here. So positive sign now, 2 times root s. Okay, cool. Now both these integrations are pretty trivial. You could use integration by parts or use complex numbers and separate the imaginary part for the sine functions here. Anyway, this is what you'll get at the end of things. We have the particular solution u sub p being equal to 1 by s plus sine of pi x divided by s plus pi squared. So that means we have u of x and s being equal to the general solution, which was c sub 1 times e to the x times root s plus c sub 2 times e to the negative x times root s plus the particular solution 1 by s plus sine pi x divided by s plus pi squared. And to get rid of the constants c1 and c2, we'll make use of the boundary conditions provided to us. Recall that u of 0t and u of 1t both equaled 1. That is, the ends of the rod are maintained at unit temperature. So Laplace transforming everything gives me uppercase u of 0s equal to 1 by s, and uppercase u of 1s equal to 1 by s as well, because the Laplace transform of 1 is just 1 by s. So first up, let's make use of the x equal to 0 condition. That gives me 1 by s equal to c1 plus c2 plus 1 by s, and the sign of 0 is, of course, 0. We have some cancellation. This implies that c1 plus c2 equals 0. And now for the condition x equal to 1, that gives me 1 by s on the left-hand side, and on the right, we have c1 times e to the root s plus c2 times e to the negative root s plus 1 by s, and the sine of pi is 0 once again. So we have some cancellation, and this implies that c1 e to the root s plus c2 e to the negative root s equals 0. So that's the second equation we need to solve for our two unknowns, c1 and c2. And this second equation is pretty useful because recall that e to the root s and e to the negative root s are both linearly independent basis vectors for the vector space they span. That means the linear combination can be 0 if and only if c1 equals c2 equals 0. And this, of course, is in agreement with the equation c1 plus c2 equals 0. So that means we have u of x and s equal to 1 by s plus sine of pi x divided by s plus pi squared. And we're pretty much done. The only thing left to do is revert back to our x and t world by using the inverse Laplace transform. So now we inverse Laplace everything. Terribly sorry about that. And that gives me u of x and t. That's the temperature function equal to inverse Laplace of 1 by s is just 1. And we have sine of pi x times inverse Laplace of 1 by s plus pi squared, which we recognize as e to the negative pi squared by t from our table of Laplace transforms. So we have the temperature function u of x and t being equal to 1 plus e to the negative pi squared t times sine of pi x, which is a pretty cool solution indeed. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.